Hey guys, and thanks for stopping back on in today. Yesterday, the daily free pick over on our main website, stumpthespread.com, came through as Syracuse went on to cover the spread on the road against Clemson. Our daily free play has been on fire, going 16-3-1 over the last 20 days. If you're interested, you can head on over there to get today's free play, and today's free play is going to be in the matchup between New Mexico and Air Force out there in the Mountain West Conference. Also, while you're over at Stump the Spread, if you want, you can register a free account. We're creeping up very close to our goal of getting 10,000 total users, so a pretty significant milestone for us. We're pretty excited about it. And you can head on over to Stump the Spread by clicking the logo in the top right-hand corner of this video if you're on desktop, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description. In today's content, we're going to be discussing 5 matchups and our take on who we think is the better bet against the spread in each of these matchups. And this is going to be for February 8th, 2017. If you're looking to get more of this content in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and also any thumbs up are greatly appreciated and really help us out. So the first matchup that I want to talk about is going to be over in the SEC, and it's going to be between Ole Miss and Tennessee. Both of these teams actually, not having the worst years, fairly respectable, standing in that mid-tier of the SEC. Mississippi has really picked up their play as of late, and Ole Miss is coming off a really solid road win against Vanderbilt in their last outing. Ole Miss is playing some of their best ball of conference over the past week, and it'll be interesting to see if they can carry that over into this matchup on the road against Tennessee. Ole Miss really doesn't have anything to lose as they try to continue to build up their resume for what's probably going to be an NIT run, but if they are able to close as strong as we've seen out of them out of the last week, maybe they will make a run at a potential bubble berth into the NCAA tournament. That's yet to be seen. Going on the road here today against Tennessee, the Vols, even though their overall record isn't quite as good as Mississippi, the Vols do have some better resume wins, which are keeping them in that bubble picture right now. Tennessee has to keep winning on their home court down the stretch and picking up probably some road wins here and there as they try to get on the right side of the bubble. This is a Tennessee squad that's ahead of schedule. They're a younger group that's developing under head coach Barnes, and this program has a lot to look forward to potentially in the coming years if these guys all stay together and continue to improve. Tennessee, they've been a bit up and down. They've shown well on the road. They've shown well at home, but then they've also had some stinkers on the road and at home. That's to be expected from a younger group. You're not going to get consistent results out of them. And in this matchup, with Ole Miss coming in on a 2-game winning streak, that's seen their really an uptick in play from them and showing very well on the road in their last outing against Vanderbilt, getting the 7 points in this one, 6.5 to 7 points. We feel like the Rebels are going to be the better value bet against the spread in this matchup. Moving on down to the Big Ten, we got a matchup here between Rutgers and Ohio State. Rutgers, again this year, is in the basement of the Big Ten. Not a huge surprise, but the Scarlet Knights were better back in the non-conference than most were expecting out of this group, and Rutgers has had the occasional competitive loss as well as, a couple victories as well along the way, but Rutgers has also been blown out a number of times, especially on the road. This is going to be a tough matchup here going into Columbus, where they have a very strong home court advantage there for Ohio State. The Buckeyes are trying to work their way into the NCAA tournament. They're kind of in a similar spot to where they were last year, where they have talent, but they're just not getting the kind of elite resume building wins that they need to really put themselves into the NCAA tournament. This is a game that Ohio State obviously can't afford to lose, and the Buckeyes are coming off a really nice recent road win against Michigan, and we do like the Buckeyes to propel off of that momentum as they go into this home game, as they go on to win and cover this moderate spread here, going up to 10 to 10.5 points. This is a game that means a lot more for Ohio State, and we do expect them to come through here against Rutgers as they go on to cover the spread. Moving on down to the Missouri Valley Conference, we have a matchup between Loyola Chicago and Evansville. Loyola Chicago, they were a big disappointment last year. They had a lot more expectations on them last year. Coming into this year, the Ramblers had a bit more modest expectations, and they seem to do better as a program, at least in recent years, when the spotlight isn't on them. This is a team that's led by Milton Doyle, who's one of the top players in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. And this is one of those teams that could potentially make a run in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament and perhaps steal a bid. It just depends on if they get hot at the right time. This is a squad that has strengths on both sides of the ball, and earlier in conference play we did see Loyola Chicago get past Evansville. The Evansville Purple Aces have been having a tough time in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. They're sitting down there in the basement of the standings, and they've just had a really tough time coming through in their closer matchups, which has resulted in their current standing in the Missouri Valley Conference. We feel like Loyola Chicago should be able to come through here on the road in what's nearly a pick'em. Right now they're giving 1 to 1.5 points, but we feel like the Ramblers should go on to win and cover this spread as they try to wiggle their way up the MVC standings and really play for their seeding come the MVC tournament. Moving on over to the American Athletic Conference, we have a matchup here between Central Florida and Cincinnati. This should be a great matchup to watch if you're a fan of defense. These are two of the better defensive teams in what's a conference that really prides themselves on the defensive side of the ball. Central Florida has built their success on the defensive end this year as they've consistently ranked in the top 5 in the country in total defense this season, and part of that also has to do with the slower pace that the Knights play at. Going on the road here against Cincinnati, and Bearcats coming off a pretty nice win in their last outing at home against UConn, picking that one up by double digits. In their outing prior to that, Cincinnati didn't look quite as good as they went on to beat Tulsa on the road by just 2 points. This is a Cincinnati squad that has shown a really high ceiling at times on the offensive side of the ball, but then, you know, against some of the more defensive-oriented teams that they've faced, they've had a tougher time putting the ball in the hoop, and they've also tended to slow things down a bit more when they go against defensive opposition, as the Bearcats have sided more with playing to the pace of their opponents this year than anything than, you know, dictating their own style of play. But that also plays to the strength of Cincinnati, that they're able to adapt to different play styles, and that's also why we've seen this group have so much success this season with just 2 losses thus far and also standing undefeated right now in conference. We do like Cincinnati to come through straight up on their home court in this one, but in a defensive battle, points come at a premium. So these 12.5 points mean a lot more in this matchup than if we saw 12.5 points in what was, you know, expected to be a higher scoring affair. The first team to maybe 50 points or maybe 60 points is probably going to win this one. And in a game that's likely to be in that 50 to 60 point range, we feel like getting UCF with the 12.5 points is going to be the better value bet against the spread in this particular contest. All right, just one more game that I want to touch on in today's video. It's going to be another Missouri Valley matchup. We have Indiana State against Bradley. Indiana State's been a tough team to figure out this year. They showed some really strong results back during the non-conference, well documented. You know, they nearly upset Iowa State on a neutral site. They beat Butler. They won at Utah State, which is a really tough place to play at. They competed and nearly upset Stanford. This was a team that really played to the level of their competition back in the non-conference, and that allowed them to really compete well in some very tough contests. Indiana State in the Missouri Valley, clearly not having the kind of results that they were hoping for this year. They currently stand in the basement of the standings, but one of their few wins have been against Bradley, and that was a result fairly recently at home for Indiana State. They were able to get past Bradley by 10 points. And, you know, this Indiana State squad, if they are ever able to capture the kind of competitive spirit and magic, for instance, that we saw in their win against Butler, this is a team that's definitely at least has the ability to make a run come March in the MVC tournament. I don't really expect that out of Bradley as much. We haven't seen that same kind of ceiling that we've seen out of Indiana State. Bradley, you know, not the most elite home court advantage by any means, especially with the kind of year that the Braves have been having. We do like Indiana State to come through again here against the Braves as they go on to get their second win against Bradley on the year, winning this one straight up in what's currently listed as a pick'em. So that's going to wrap up the matchups that I wanted to talk about in today's video. Again, if you're interested in getting our daily free pick, it's going to be this matchup here between Air Force and New Mexico, and you can get that over at our main website, stumpthespread.com. We'll link Stump the Spread in the video description if you want to get over there by those means. If you want to get more of this video pick content in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and any thumbs up are greatly appreciated. So thanks, guys, for stopping in again today, and we'll see you in the next college basketball pick video. Bye.